Okay, sorry about that. So periodically, every once in a while, not frequently, an opportunity comes along which is so profound that people who would otherwise struggle to break through are able to break through because of the magnitude of the message. See, sometimes the messenger has the charisma and the power. I have a friend, Eric Muhammad, on here right now. He's got the power. He doesn't need a compelling message to cause people to open their eyes, their ears, and their hearts. People like that, what I call a catalyst personality, can succeed in a variety of ventures and can succeed more profoundly when what? When vast majority of people who have different personalities can likewise succeed. What makes that possible? When the message itself is so overwhelmingly positive that it simply cannot be denied. We find ourselves right now at one of those moments. LEV AI, that is a company. That acronym stands for Leverage or Leveraging Artificial Intelligence. The company's vision, the company's Lev AI, the vision, the concept is to bring accessible artificial intelligence to the vast majority of planet Earth, to everyday people who will be compelled to adopt. And when I say compelled to adopt, what do I mean? Well, I remember the time when I saw the very first desktop computer. I didn't have the vision to see that the time would come when literally the entire planet would be compelled to adopt computerization or be left behind. Right now, you couldn't be participating in this session had you not adopted computerization. What else had to happen? A couple of years later, the entire global society was compelled to begin an adoption process of what? The internet. And here we are. Ask yourself this simple question. Did you really have a choice about adopting the computer, or were you compelled by society? Adopt or be left behind? We both know the answer. Did you have the opportunity to say, no, I'm just going to opt out of the internet? I'm just going to let that stand aside. No, this is the next moment like that. There have only been, in even recent, relatively recent history, there have only been two such events: the advent of computerization and the advent of the internet. Now comes the advent of artificial intelligence. Looking back hundreds of years prior, there's been one similar event of such profound significance, that the Industrial Revolution. That is how profound is this possibility. I do want to welcome Blake. Blake is my son. He is the president of this company. I wish that I had made that hire, but I could not because I don't own the company. I'll introduce you to the company ownership in a few minutes. Blake has a great background for this experience. First, he was raised in the home of a serial entrepreneur. He understands the sacrifices that we make, and he understands the absolute requirement to honor those sacrifices for years to come. Blake is an attorney. He understands the legal complexity of domestic and global business. Blake has deep, deep experience in operating large, successful home-based business micro enterprise companies, has also been the CEO of a major publicly traded company. His most recent success being CEO of Medical Marijuana Incorporated at a time when the company really guided the entire industry through the end of the prohibition of cannabis on a wide scale. Now, here we find ourselves in an amazing place. I like that this says deep mind, because one of the acronyms, or one of the phrases I've used throughout my career, is that if we want to float a big boat, you have to have deep water. You can't float a big boat in shallow water. If you want to build a big business, you must have a very, very deep market, a broad, broad, broad number of people to talk to. Never in my life, in my business experience, have I contemplated something like this. Here we see the deepest mind, that deep mind, Demis Hassabis, stating the difference here with artificial intelligence is it's going to be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution and maybe 10 times faster. Folks, that's an amazing statement, isn't it? Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, recently stated that AI is more profound than anything we've done in the past. He goes on to say it's more profound than fire or electricity. And so the first thing we have to do is recognize that this moment in time where we find ourselves, this is not one of several such experiences that we might encounter over the course of our lives. No, in my life, there was the opportunity to participate in the widespread adoption of computerization. I didn't do it. My vision was too short. I had the opportunity, I was an adult, I had the opportunity to participate in the widespread adoption of the internet. In neither case did I. I simply used, thinking I had a choice, but now knowing I did not. I was compelled to adopt or be left behind by society. And now we find ourselves at the third such moment in my life. Had any of us lived for hundreds of years, we could remember a fourth such moment, that in fact being the Industrial Revolution. That is how remarkable is this moment. The first thing I implore, I encourage, I literally beg all to do is wipe clean the slate And don't take a moment of this for granted. Don't think this is an extension of some past experience you've had. Don't think this is a continuation of something you've done before. It is not. This is a different moment and opportunity, equal to or maybe 10 times greater than the Industrial Revolution, more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. Clearly, then, if we can align ourselves with a entity which has the capability to capture that moment in time, then we have a chance to completely change not just our future, but really and truly, and no kidding, I don't want to sound like hyperbole, we can impact future generations. This is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. It's going to be bigger than the Industrial Revolution and maybe 10 times faster, and into that incredibly deep water. How big a boat can you float in water that encompasses the entire world? Because everyone needs to adopt. And Lev AI makes it simple for all those who will be compelled to adopt, to in fact adopt. And upon adoption, they'll find out that it makes it simple for entrepreneurs to launch, market, and grow businesses. Now, today there are some 8 billion people on planet Earth, and there's about 3.75% who have begun tipping their toes into the world of AI and trying to figure out how to get this magic in a bottle. And what they're finding are a host of problems. They're finding that one must have myriad applications, seemingly a different app for every moment in the day. One must have an application for customer relationship management solutions, one for growing and developing, expanding social media presence, one to build and maintain websites, one to guide and prompt a person through the correct business building activities, and on it goes. Well, each of those applications, of course, have a separate subscription. They have separate logins. They have separate costs associated with them. And the big problem is that those various applications are not communicating one with another until the solution, Lev AI, when suddenly all is contained in a single whole. And inside that single whole is communication between every application, putting a multiplier on the effectiveness and a multiplier on the defectiveness and a divisor on the complications, therefore making possible a different outcome. The solution to that group of problems is found in one company, Lev AI. Once again, that's the name of a company, the concept, leveraging artificial intelligence and bringing it to the masses of society who will be compelled to adopt in the most user-friendly, economical way. It makes building and maintaining candidate and customer lists far easier. There are 388 million small businesses in the world for whom that is a welcome message. Creates confidence about what to say to each candidate throughout the engagement process, and removes the barriers that make you feel stuck. In the course of this little slide presentation, there's all kinds of bullet points. There are a few of them that stick out at me. That's one. Removes barriers that make you feel stuck. Why does that one stick out at me? Because over the course of my career, I've come to realize that we all have some uniquenesses, or at least, if not unique, some areas where we are somewhat different from the general body of society. We all have those areas of uniqueness or of slight differences. One of my differences is somehow I didn't realize that, but there's actually a skill involved in being a good follower. Today, I'm frequently introduced as a leader, but I'll tell you what I really am at my core. I am likely the best follower you will ever encounter. I search until I find people who are accomplishing what I want to accomplish. And then, if I'm so lucky that I can find someone who's accomplishing what I want to accomplish and is willing to teach me how to do it, and one more step, do it with me, then I get exactly in line. I don't look left and I don't look right and I don't look up and I don't look down. I follow the path. That's just common sense to me. But what I've discovered to my great fascination is that so many people don't do that. They wander back and forth all over the lot instead of being resolutely on the path. And as a result of being over here in the snowbank and over here in the snowbank instead of here on the plowed path, they feel stuck. This will remove those barriers by providing a series of daily prompts to cause each person to know and understand what is the next correct activity that brings them back to the center line, which leads to predictable success. So in the Lev AI solution, we address a host of issues, and not all of them are here. But we'll talk about each of these various components of the overall Lev AI solution. It includes my AI social, my network, my web, my momentum, and my prospects. By the way, I think I'll ask the company to change that to say my candidates. I'd rather be someone's candidate than I would be their prospect. Any case, that's not a hill to die for. So here we have the LEV AI solution. The one thing that has become evident to me is one can accurately measure tomorrow's results by measuring today's influence. If I meet an individual who has broad influence, I can predict tremendous success in the future. Broad influence makes that opens the door to success. A person with broad influence, having found a correct project, can then succeed quickly. If I interact with someone that I see has limited initial influence, a very profound product is necessary. This is a key, folks. If you have a dramatically profound product, then a person with less influence will be able to have greater results. That still will never replace the fact that we should grow our influence. And so, one of the very, very important parts of the LEV AI solution are a series of mechanisms contained within to gradually grow your social media presence, which in fact grows your future value in the marketplace. And here's one of the examples. I frequently state that a person could use this product or service literally at zero cost or less than zero. How can that be? Well, because whatever tool you're currently using, if you're using one to grow a social media presence, you won't have to anymore. So you can eliminate that subscription. Whatever you're doing right now for CRM, customer relationship management, well, you can eliminate that subscription as well. We contained inside the LEV AI solution is a very robust CRM, which does everything that you want a CRM to do and some things that you only hoped it would one day be able to do. In this case, it will literally tell you what your contact or candidate wants to talk about. That is so important. Every time you do a simple screenshot import, upon importing the contact, your LEV AI solution will begin immediately scanning their social media profiles and will report back to you what's important to them and how and why. And that will then lead to your LEV AI solution actually creating engaging posts, learning what to say and what not to say, and following a prompt so there is no guesswork. This is what you say now, push send and post. This begins gradually growing and expanding social media interactions, leading to more likes, leading to more clicks, leading to our next opportunity to let the LEV AI solution further enhance your visibility and your future influence, and therefore your future market value. Simple screenshot contact import. I've just referenced this contact enhancement, telling you what the contact wants to talk about. And by the way, you can create that script yourself, or you can ask your personalized GPT to create it for you. Say, oh my gosh, how am I going to do that? I don't understand that. See, 700 million people logged into Chat GPT this last week. And why did they do it? They were looking for answers to problems, and they were looking for answers to questions and solutions to problems. And they got good answers, but they didn't get great answers. They got good solutions. They didn't get perfect solutions. Why? Because GPT was pulling generic information from, and I should belong still back over here, because Chat GPT was pulling generic information from the internet, as opposed to pulling specific information from a personalized GPT that was loaded up with content that is specific to your enterprise. A dramatic difference. The ability to eliminate yet another cost that almost all businesses have. That cost being, oh, come on, get back here where I want you to go. That cost being the building and maintenance of websites. That is also inclusive in the LEV AI solution. I have done it. It takes a matter of minutes. This is not a simple replicated site such as one might see in a typical direct selling company. No, this is in fact a very robust, technology rich website, and you can build as many of them as you want. There is no added cost. You can link shopping carts to them. And then I think of this. We talked about the idea that there are so many people who just stay stuck. They can see the target, they want to go to the target, there's a path in front of them, but they're frozen. They're frozen in what? Doubts, fears, insecurities of various kinds. They may be frozen behind this simple fact that as an employee, most people start as employees, and as an employee, they've learned how to become reactive, reacting to demands of the employment situation, reacting to demands of the job, the position. Now, suddenly we find out, wait a minute, those shoes are too tight. I want to work when I want, where I want, with whom I want, and if I want. I want to establish my own value in the marketplace. And so I step into entrepreneurship. And upon stepping in, what do I find out? Oh my gosh, the water's hot, the water's cold. I imagine this. I'm a pilot. I fly airplanes, and sometimes I'm an instrument rated pilot, and sometimes I fly in the clouds. when I'm flying in the clouds, it's really important to have contact with an upline. In this case, that upline is called the Air Route Traffic Control Center. And it's also important to have a plan, to have a proved and predictable pattern of activities. So just as there are highways on the ground, there are highways in the sky. They are called airways. And so if I'm flying on an instrument flight plan, then I will first of all have a map. I'll have a plan, and I will know what the parameters are to get me there. I'll know what the minimum en route altitude is, how high I must fly to be clear of the rocks and to be able to track to the next beacon. And I will have a coach, a guide. I will have someone telling me if I make an error. Hey, 6162 Romeo, please turn 3 degrees to the left and return to the center line of the airway. Or 6162 Romeo, we're giving you vectors too, the Denver VOR. You see, having someone observing, watching, prompting, guiding me back to the safety zone, which leads to success. That is what begins happening for our entire body of our membership, for you, and for everyone you bring into this business or anyone you'd like to help succeed in their business, whatever it is. Literally, an air route traffic controller guiding them step by step past the difficult parts, guiding them back towards the center line and helping them arrive at the destination in safety. I am so extraordinarily enthusiastic about what this means to fledgling entrepreneurs trying to exit the confines of employment and get into the freedom of entrepreneurship. We'll find a way finally to get them unstuck. And then I again contemplate this person who's long been reactive, an employer telling them what to do. Now I'm reactive, and there I see my contact list. Somehow, the transition from employment to entrepreneur has some scary components for many. I would say many, maybe even most. And I think that it's true that for almost everyone, having the ability to respond to a request for information would be a lot easier than trying to provoke interest in information. Imagine that every new person joining your business, that every person in it had 25 or 50 or 100 contacts available to them every month, people who had requested information, who wanted to know more. Imagine them calling you and say, hey, Tony, I understand you have knowledge about this situation. I need that knowledge. Can you share it with me? Is it not obvious that would be so much easier than trying to provoke the conversation? And then Cicero said so many years ago that the skill to do comes from the doing. Well, if suddenly I have a candidate asking me for information, I get to respond. You see, it's a middle ground between the reactivity of employment, the proactivity of entrepreneurship. I get to respond to the request of someone for information about my business. And then as I respond, easier, the skill to do comes from the doing, more skill, more confidence, more poise, a more correct self esteem. Suddenly, I become the attractive leader that others are drawn to, and I don't have to look for contacts anymore. Folks, there is a bit of magic to this. This can happen. I want it to be true for you. I want it to be that the day comes when candidates look for you as opposed to you having to look for the candidate. That is that is an attainable and a hittable target. I want to help you do that. Talked about a lot of important things already, and there is more. Um, every plan includes your own avatar. I call it a digital clone, a digital version of you that looks like you, or if you prefer, you can pick a avatar from the library. You can give it any script, or as I've described, you can use your personalized GPT to create the ideal script. And unlike you and unlike me, our virtual twins can speak fluently in dozens of languages. I can't illustrate this quite yet. Those of us who have been on the corporate presentations have seen Blake illustrating the video, my video in action. I think, I don't know for a fact, it's not been confirmed, but I think later today I will have my own digital clone. And I cannot wait to begin utilizing it. Um, we've arrived at a point in time where people are they're literally rushing towards the company as we speak. I mean, it is rushing. It's a small beginning because so few people know about it. But in only a handful of days, there will be quite a few thousand people in the world who begin demonstrating exactly what it means to have a digital clone who is able to speak fluently in 150 languages and who can bring content specific to your task. In a few days, the flood is going to become a much, much, much more rapid flood. It will. Simply give it your script. You can have your LEV AI solution created, and you can pick a voice. It can be yours or one that you select. And it will absolutely, if you want to know how to create a candidate list, you want to know how to enliven a group, simply create a video of you speaking Chinese when your entire world knows you do not. Send it out to your candidate base and say, I can show you how to do this and how to turn it into greater financial success for you and your family. We just created a candidate list for every single person who wants to even give it a try. This will be for a season. In the early advent, this will be in likelihood the single easiest thing you have ever done, but it requires that you get unstuck. It requires that you start. I find the value proposition to be absolutely stunning. Either there are two packages available right now. There will be added services in the future, likely a third package. I don't know that. Either 49 or $99. Folks, I've spent my entire career explaining away price. I've always represented good products, premium products, and I've always explained away the price. For the first time in my life, here we offer something completely unique. Having the single best technology, the best product, and having the best price. Those two most frequently contraindicate one another, don't they? I mean, Mercedes-Benz doesn't argue that they have the best price. They argue they have the best product. A, a super discount vehicle, and by the way, the vehicles all change. I don't want to make here an adverse comment about anybody, but Kia, for example, they make really good automobiles, but they don't argue they make the best automobile. They argue that they have the best value. You see, it's very difficult to be able to convincingly argue that you have the best product and you have the best price. And that then creates the turbocharged best value. That is our argument, and it's an easy one to make. My AI video, your likeness, your voice, speaking your script flawlessly in dozens of languages. And you can even use your LEV AI solution to create the script. AI social, this part of the process of growing your social media presence, which grows your future value. There are many of us, many, probably most on this session, who have more than one message to deliver in your life. That would demand multiple profiles to be loaded into your digital clone. That would require the pro package. Once again, my AI social, this is where LEV AI begins literally from the first moment, improving your social media presence, growing the engagement, therefore growing your value over time. A CRM with screenshot import and profile enhancement, which tells you what that candidate wants to talk about, as opposed to you trying to get them to be interested in what you want to talk about. When we know what's important to them, then we can fashion our message to illustrate how LEV AI helps them accomplish what they want to accomplish. That's a different conversation than when we are provoking it based on our interest. Instant website builder, eliminate the cost, but more than that, yes, it eliminates cost, but eliminates time. You can do this in a matter of minutes. In a matter of minutes. Anything that eliminates the expenditure of time. Time is our most precious asset. We cannot recreate it. We can't call a second of it back. Spending time is extraordinarily expensive. We must only invest it. And every little bit of time that we can take away from admin and turn into revenue producing activities goes through a multiplier. And that multiplier comes home in financial results. Enhanced CRM with professional lead funnels guiding every person step by step to whatever is the correct conclusion for him or her, and over 2 billion searchable leads so that we can gradually help a person make that movement between pure reactivity to pure proactivity. And this particular part, I literally cannot wait. Just yesterday, my friend Susan in Australia happens to be Chinese, and she said, "Randy, it's so sad that the presentation didn't have subtitles because my Chinese people couldn't get the information as fast as quickly as you were speaking." And on that same session, I had friends in Israel whose primary language is Hebrew. And on that same session, I had people in Mexico whose primary language is Spanish. And they were all struggling trying to get the message. See, the problem is not that they don't speak English. The problem is that I don't speak Chinese or Hebrew or Spanish today, but next week I will, with a fully interactive digital version of me that has been loaded with 50 years of content. The density of the content loaded is what creates the ability to have a near conversational quality, a fully interactive digital version of you. When the world begins to see these various digital versions of leaders floating around the world, right now I can be in one place, one home, it's mine, one nation, United States, one state, Utah. Next week, I'll be able to be in every nation, in every city, state, and home in the world, all at the same time. All at the same time, no matter what hour of day or night, speaking fluently in 150 languages, and so can you. The value proposition is absolutely incredible. You could not recreate just that I just talked about. The interactive digital clone, go try to create it for 10 times what it costs you to be a part of LEV AI, and you'll find that you cannot for the first time in my career. I don't explain away price. No. For the first time, I shout price. Can you guys believe this? Can you believe we can deliver the single most sophisticated offering, the only offering in the entire AI world where all the apps are communicating one with another? Can you believe we can deliver the best product, the simplest utilization process, and do it for the best price all at the same time, and tie a compensation plan to it? That then begins to give you at least some inkling of what exactly is the market opportunity. Hard to describe in a slide. There are 8 billion people on planet Earth. What percentage of them use the internet? That's the percentage who will be compelled to use AI. What percentage of those 8 billion use computers? That's the percentage who are being compelled as we speak to utilize AI. It has already begun, but it's only 3% in. Folks, the next 4 years, 10 years in total, but the next 4 years, there will be new foundations of financial wealth. There will be new entire segments of society who generate wealth. Generating wealth is not the same as generating income. Generating wealth as being at the forefront, as a result of being at the forefront, and then recognizing that simply being there is not what it's about. It's about recognizing in advance that which is to be. Andy Kate, who showed me my first computer years ago, he could see in advance what was to be. I could not. Today I can. I hope you can. There is no limitation to what we might accomplish. And we do not have a choice as to whether we use the product ourselves. No, we're going to use it. We're going to use AI. The question is, are we going to be a conduit to other people's use? And if so, then we will earn acquisition bonuses. If you are the introductory factor, everybody stop and think about this for a second. Every single person that you know is going to use AI, period. Everybody. Who is your candidate list? It is every single person you know. They will all be compelled to use AI. If you simply are the conduit to their use of the best product at the best price, helping them do what they must do for their benefit, then you'll get paid 50% of whatever was the acquisition price. They buy the $50 package, you get paid 25. They buy the $100 package, you get paid 50. They'll have an ongoing subscription. You personally enroll an individual and they occupy that first person. You brought them into the business. It's what's called being on your front line. You brought them to the party. Every month, their ongoing subscription, you'll get paid 20%. That's what'll happen. What if you enrolled an influencer? I have a friend named Julianne who has 25 million Instagram followers. She had a brilliant moment in the sun. She won Dancing with the Stars with her partner. She went on to star in a movie with Tom Cruise. She has 25 million fans. All 25 million are going to use AI. That's an example of what is the opportunity for an influencer. You see, all of those 25 million, they're going to use AI. They already make their clothing choices, their makeup choices, their hairstyle choices because of what Julianne says is cool. Julianne tells them that LEV AI is the cool way to do that, which they must do anyway. The upside to any influencer is more profound than anything I've ever seen. Why? Because every single person they know will be compelled to adopt this technology, period. If they use their influence to be a conduit to the adoption of this particular iteration of it, the financial rewards will be stunning. And then there are people who, more like me, have invested their careers in building teams. We create a simple 8-level unilevel compensation plan. The ways we make money: acquisition bonus, you introduce a person who acquires the product, you get paid. That's a transaction. Second, they pay their ongoing monthly subscription month after month, no matter how wide is the block of volume you create, no matter how many people you enroll. You are eligible to get paid 8 generations of depth on leadership foundations which are created beneath them. Whenever a product or an idea or a thought is red hot, and I mean red hot, there'll be a mass movement of people towards it. It was 1 month ago that we had our very first introductory conversation about this idea, this concept, leveraging artificial intelligence to bring it to the masses. And since that time, without one dime spent on advertising, we've now assembled more than 32,000 early adopters. Our daily application flow, our daily new membership flow has grown to over 3,000. Next week, people will begin demonstrating this technology and using it on a widespread basis. Our application flow is going to 10,000 a week next week. Write it down and say you heard it here first. If you are the one who is the conduit to other people's use, you are helping them do at advantage what they're going to require to do anyway. You're showing them how to be more effective in their business. And as a result of helping other people accomplish what they want to accomplish, you'll be paid royalties. That is a beautiful way to live. Some quick updates. LEV AI application is in its final design. Testing is underway. I believe we'll have it in a week or 10 days. LEV AI back office. I've had the opportunity to tinker around and play with it. It is spectacular. It's beautiful. It's easy. It is intuitive. Team management, those of you who are already in our organization, those who have joined the business and have already enrolled a person or two or more, please go to your back office, click on the tab that says resources. And when you click on that tab, you'll see a short video that shows you how to construct your team, how to place those people in the organization as you'd like it to be done. Multi-language support is already available, 10 languages now, many, many more coming. I do want to state that nothing that is being done too quickly to do it well. I want to say that we're hurrying to market because of the power and importance of this moment. A month matters right now. A week matters right now as the global adoption of AI is beginning. And we want you to capture every single piece of that you can. There was some discussion made to perhaps not launch until January or February because we could then have some of the banking relationships established in various markets where they are not yet established, and that would ease credit card payment solutions. The decision was made no, that would allow some of the grains of sand of opportunity to filter from the top of the hourglass to the bottom, and we didn't want to have that occur. We wanted you to be able to benefit from all of that growth if possible. And so PayPal is supported globally. If you live outside of the United States or Canada, I would strongly encourage you to establish a PayPal account. It doesn't cost you anything. And that will assure that you don't have difficulty getting money into or out of your LEV.ai account as we go on through our credit card integration process in various nations. And I'm not telling you that credit cards won't be available everywhere. They will be available everywhere. In some markets, we'll have a high percentage of credit card successfully processing. In some markets, it'll be more challenging. In those markets where it's more challenging, we want a secondary solution and a third level solution. Secondary solution, PayPal, doesn't cost anything. Please get a PayPal account today if you don't have one yet. Second, we will begin accepting crypto as payments in and payments out very shortly. We will not be in the crypto business, not speculating in crypto, we're not a crypto company, but for the ease of payment acceptability in some international markets, crypto has become very, very mainstream. That will be integrated into our back office about a week after formal launch. If you are not doing so yet, please follow us on all social media. Don't miss not even one word of important information that comes from this company. And understand that later on today, we'll have another conversation like this one at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight. If I could somehow snap my fingers and cause you to know and understand it like I do, then here's what you would do. You would contact the person who invited you to be here and ask for the online registration so you can get your registration link that you can send to others. Second, I would encourage you to go to your back office as soon as you have that link. Actually, you don't have to go to the back office. Go to youtube.com/@GetLevAIHQ. And there you will find a 90-second sizzle video. I would suggest that you go to your telephone and you send that 90-second sizzle video to 50 people between tonight and 9 o'clock Eastern, and tell them at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight, my new friend Randy Schrader is going to describe this business to you. I implore you to do that. And a couple of days ago, I had an amazing experience. I talked to a person about the business on one evening, and the next day, that person had 514 people in his organization. Now, that's kind of an amazing thing, isn't it? And that is partly because of the influence and the credibility of that individual. But you know what? That individual could have sent the same email to somebody, the same text, and said, watch this. They could have watched any other message except LEV.ai. And I promise you that would not have turned into 514 applications overnight. This is not a moment that is like anything we've experienced before. And one of the keys to the reasons we can be so extremely aggressive that we find ourselves at the genesis, at the inflection, at the beginning. We don't have the risks that are part of that. Why? Because our company is owned by a gentleman named Terry LaCour. LaCour Enterprises is the global service provider for LEV.ai. The reason that we can grow so quickly, that we can have such an enormous impact in a matter of days, is because of LaCour. And the reason that I have complete confidence in the long-term solutions of credit card processing being easy everywhere is because it's one of his businesses, LaCour Payment Technologies. Access to leading back office, commissions, and operating history, literally hundreds of years of collective team experience, over 25 years in micro enterprise and 7 billion in revenue. So operating in the ecosystem and under the global umbrella of LaCour Enterprises, Blake is the president of the company who makes the day-to-day business building decisions and makes the water safe for all of us. Once again, folks, this is simply not a continuation of what you've done before. This is not an extension of your past career. This is much bigger, not a little bit, it is much bigger. And the question we must each ask ourselves is, what are we going to do about it? If you want to lead the AI future, as opposed to simply being swept along with it, then the time to start is now. And I mean, it's literally now, it's this minute. Now, it says below that LEV AI will officially launch in 2 to 3 weeks. This slide is a couple of weeks old. And so this last Wednesday, Blake announced it as being 1 to 2 weeks. And that 1 week mark is Monday. And my own personal belief is that that's our go live date. I'm not a company official. That's not an announcement, but that is my belief. Folks, the days between now and 4 years from now are the single most important years of your financial lives. And what makes up a year is 365 days. And every one of the days that we choose to properly invest in the coming 12 months, I believe can influence the rest of your life like perhaps nothing else could. And then I would encourage us to continue to pursue it aggressively as we go, as we not just experience and not just participate in, but provoke the global adoption of accessible AI suitable for the masses. I appreciate you all more than you know. I look forward to seeing you at the top. Have the best day yet. Bye bye.